Hey y'all, welcome back to Movement Link. So I just want to take a few minutes here and just discuss the importance of making your body sensitive to insulin. So insulin is a hormone that's released in your body, and typically it gets released in correlation with your blood sugar levels. And so as your blood sugar levels rise, insulin gets released and it can bring them back down. And insulin actually tells your cells what to do with what's going on in the food in your body. So it's telling your cells, are we storing fat? Are we releasing fat? And so insulin is this messenger that's talking to our cells. And what happens is if we are consistently spiking our blood sugar, we're consistently then releasing insulin, and a lot of it. And so what happens is over time our cells get desensitized to this insulin, and so then our body has to start releasing more and more insulin, and this overload of insulin in the body really has a lot of negative effects for our health. There's a lot of chronic conditions that come along with this, but when we're talking about your weight, it's especially important with just that as the perspective. So there's 100 reasons why we want to kind of limit it, but for most people listening to this, we're here for weight loss and performance and keeping our joints and tissues and that overall health and wellness. And so what we need to do is just make sure that you stay sensitive to insulin like we're meant to be. So what we're kind of looking for is throughout the day, we're going to go on spurts of eating, and then we have an insulin spike because we ate, and then that insulin spike brings our blood sugar level down, and then we eat again, insulin spike brings it down, and so on. So what we're trying to avoid are these giant spikes, because what we know, and this is just like a lot of things, is that the higher we go up, the further we come back down, and we're trying to avoid these big crashes. So how can we make our blood sugar stay a little more normalized here without spiking up? Well, the main things that spike it up are going to be carbohydrate, and sugar is a carbohydrate. So we're not saying carbohydrate is bad, so that's something I always want to really just keep in mind. But as we're trying to resensitize your cells in your body to insulin, we might want to reduce carbohydrates a lot in the short term. That way we can get those cells responding correctly and your body producing the right amount of insulin. That way in the long term we can go back to more of kind of a balanced diet. So what are carbohydrates, and specifically what is our main recommendation for if you're starting to just kind of look for that weight loss stuff? First place that we usually like to go is just sugar, and not don't get this confused with natural sugar. So we are completely okay with sugar that comes with fruits and vegetables. There's natural sugar in so many good healthy foods. So the main thing here is what we want to do is things that are going to tend to spike our blood sugar up. We just want to make sure that if we're eating those foods are also coming with a bunch of nutrients. That way we can actually get good things in as we're doing this, as opposed to things like added sugar, honey, maple syrup. All these things are just going to spike without also getting the added nutrients and stuff. So things like fruits, as long as we're eating them in the right amounts, potatoes, sweet potatoes, those kind of starchy vegetables, those are going to tend to spike our blood sugar higher, but they're also coming with a lot of good micronutrients, and so it's kind of worth it. So with those things and the natural sugar, what we want to do is we try and keep the portions each meal to about the size of your fist when it's closed. So first thing we're doing is no added sugar. Other ways that we try and sensitize you again to insulin is we say no grains. So grains, again, it's kind of like carbohydrates. Grain is a carbohydrate, that's why it's on the list. But anyway, we're not saying, or I'm not trying to say that grains are bad for you. What I'm saying is that for the spike in blood sugar that we're going to get relative to the micronutrients we're going to get, grains are going to be a great first place to ditch. It's really easy to overeat things like sugar and grains, and so if we can remove those from your diet short term, then what that's going to do is, without you even really feeling like you're doing it, it'll put you into a caloric deficit, but it'll also help sensitize you to that insulin again. So we always try and push for no added sugar ever, and then we push no grains, and grains are going to be things like bread, pasta, these types of things. We're going to push for no grains for a short period of time, maybe 4 weeks to 8 weeks, something like that, while you're kind of getting resensitized to everything, while you're dropping to the weight that you should naturally be at, and then we're going to reintroduce them. The other reason that we tend to go no grains is there's a lot of people that have food sensitivities, and a wheat or gluten food sensitivity is something that's kind of common. So as we remove grains from your diet, when we then reintroduce them, we'll find out, and you'll be able to feel if grains are affecting you. For me, I have a wheat sensitivity, and when I eat grains, my hands swell and I can't get my ring off anymore. So that's just kind of what it does to me. So anyway, when we're talking about insulin, one of the big things when we're talking about weight loss or just being healthy in general is just making sure our cells handle insulin the right way, the way that it should. And a lot of us, because we have so many of these high spikes throughout the day, day after day after day after day, our bodies become desensitized to insulin, and it's not treating food and things the way that it would be treated if we were sensitive to it. So you can have a major impact on your results by resensitizing yourself to insulin. So just to sum it up real fast, we do that by just kind of cutting carbs down for a short period of time. The easiest places to go are going to be, I should go ahead and add alcohol in there. That's a high sugar thing. So if we limit your added sugars, if we just ditch grains, not forever, not saying grains are bad, we'll reintroduce them, see how you feel. If we ditch grains and then ditch alcohol for a little bit, it's an easy way to get your insulin spikes under control. Keep the natural fruits to portions the size of your fist with each meal. And then you'll resensitize to insulin, and then when you start reintroducing these things back in, your body will be better equipped to handle healthy food and non-healthy food. It'll just be working the way it should be working again. Hope that helps.